Hello, welcome to Stephen Speak. On this episode, I'm going to be talking about sleep and the need of it, but also the innate hate of it that I have. You could say it's a bit FOMO, which I don't like to say that. I don't know why I said that. I don't want to say that. Take that back. Welcome to Stephen Speak, the podcast. Unscripted prattle on everything and nothing. Welcome to another episode of Stephen Speak. Apologies that this one's a little bit late. If you're listening to it after the fact and you weren't waiting for it to come out, then you won't know any different. But you'll notice that this came out on Monday. And I don't release things on a Sunday. So apologies if you've been awaiting this episode with anticipation. You fool. Why are you getting excited about my podcasts? I don't know, but thank you. Thank you very much. I was away in London at the weekend, which isn't the theme of this podcast, if there is a theme of any of my podcasts. I suppose there is. I was away in London, so I was planning to do it when I returned, and when I got back, by the time we'd sorted ourselves out and had something to eat, etc., it was late, and I was very tired. It was quite tiring. It was great 2 days, but it was very tiring, and I decided I don't really like London that much. The people, came across a lot of rude people, and that's an episode for the other day. I kind of covered one on a previous podcast about the people in London being very, in it for themselves and busy and, not waiting for a tube train that's like a minute away when one's really full. Yeah, but this weekend it was just, it got to me a little bit. Anyway, with not having a lot of sleep, because we stayed somewhere, I kind of booked like kind of the cheapest thing I could, so we literally just booked a room with a couple of beds in. And kind of got me thinking about like sleep and the whole need for sleep, but I've never really liked sleep. It's a necessity to me. I mean, it's a necessity to everyone, obviously. Everyone has to sleep. Apparently, it actually kills you if you don't sleep. If you actually try and stay awake, it actually your body kind of shuts down and you can die. And I think it's like something. It's not even that long neither. It's like. Is it like 5 days or 6 days? If you stay up for like 6 days, like you're at death's door, basically. It may be shorter than that, actually. But yeah, your body does loads of repairs and stuff at night, and it's a download of your brain and lots of other things, and you repair, and you need your rest. Your muscles work hard all day. Your heart rate needs to kind of get lowered and return to like a just be a lot lower than it is just walking around. I'm not a doctor, as you can tell. But when I was a kid, I was terrible. Like, my mum my dad obviously as well, he was there, would have a terrible time trying to get me to go to bed. Now, it wasn't the fact that, I say it's a fear of missing out. It kind of was that, but I also didn't particularly like going to sleep. I think it's because I used to have really vivid dreams. And my dreams were like so. They are now as well. Actually, I think we've covered a couple of vivid dream situations that I've explained to you. And I think when I was a kid, I don't know, it was like I used to get scared. I used to have really vivid nightmares. But it probably was me being scared of missing out on something. And I also didn't need a lot of sleep when I was a kid, so I didn't feel it was a necessity for me to have like a nap during the day. I felt that was good enough, and I always kind of like lived on the thing of I'll sleep when I feel like I have to, which happened quite a lot. It was like my body would shut me down. Like, a bit like when you get a puppy, when you have a puppy and you play with them for a little bit and they have no desire to go to sleep, but they just have to. Like, they just fall wherever they are and they just go to sleep. I was kind of like that as a child, up to quite an old age. Say an old age. I would say probably to like 8 or 9. Like, I would have naps and not realize I'd fell asleep, or just do something that was really relaxing and like semi-sleep. Put a film on in the background. You only do that weird like, it's like a dream state. You kind of vaguely know what's going on in the room. So if you're watching something, you're kind of following it in your brain, but you're also on that warm, cozy, um, like trip to sleep. I used to do that quite a lot as a kid, and then that seemed to give me enough energy that like 3-4 hours a night would do me. Like, and I'm not even joking. Like, I would fight and fight and fight and fight sleep. And my mum and dad would probably send me to bed when I was younger, like a toddler age. To like, I'd probably go to bed about 7-8 o'clock at night. And if I was asleep before midnight, that was that was a great thing. I didn't necessarily like come downstairs a lot. I had nights where I would do that. I would come down and creep down and try and like sneak back into the living room, or just sit in where our stairs was in the house where I mainly grew up. I was quite young when we in my first house, but we moved when I was about 3 or 4. And I used to creep onto the stairs and watch TV through the banister if the living room door was open. And many a night, like, I'd fell asleep on the stairs, and I think my mum and dad were quite scared that I was like going to fall asleep and then roll downstairs and die. And even the problem was actually that much that they used to put like a kid's gate, like a child gate, across the top of the landing to stop me coming down the stairs. But I was a bit of a ninja when I was a kid, and in our first house, I used to climb out of bed, and then climb over the child's gate and like make my way along the banister rail and drop down onto the stairs. Don't recall doing this. I kind of remember climbing over it once in the house we moved to when I was a bit older. Yeah, but if you want to watch TV, you've got to watch TV. So I think it was more of the comfort of not really missing out, but the comfort of being near someone. Maybe that's what it was, actually. Thinking of it, I think it was probably more that, the comfort of, not being on my own. Maybe I was just really needy as a child. But yeah, I just recall, like, actually having a fear of going to bed. Like, just not wanting to go to bed, not wanting to be out of that, like living room environment. And also, as the older I got as well, my brother's like 5 years older than me, so that kind of like added to it, because I also didn't want to. I also didn't want him doing stuff that I wasn't doing, and also wanted to try and be older as well. So if he was up, I wanted to be up. Yeah, complex. But basically, I hated sleep, and I actually remember thinking to myself as a child, why do we sleep? This is pointless. We go to bed. We do nothing. Like, I'm not getting anything done. I'm not colouring in. I'm not in the garden. I'm not playing. I'm not watching my films. Genuinely, I was just like, this is like wasted time. God, if only I could have carried that motivation through and that thought process through. Because if you've read Arnold Schwarzenegger's autobiography, in part of that, it basically says that he kind of felt the same, like sleep was wasted. So when you're awake, you've got to make the most of it. If I keep taking that like child kind of like thought process and put it into my adulthood, like I'd have probably achieved so much more in my life at 40. It's kind of depressing. But that's how I felt. Like, going to bed was for me like a big event. And my brother didn't help. He used to like kind of induce nightmares. I remember, and he said he didn't do this, but I'm pretty sure he did. But maybe he didn't. But I was really terrified of the Gremlins I think I've said this before. I was really terrified of Gremlins when I was a kid. Love it now. I don't know why. I think I just saw a clip of it when I was really too young to have seen it, and it just terrified me. Didn't even know it was a comedy. I just thought they were evil little bastards and they'd murder you in your bed. And my brother had like a little stripe figure, and I used to play with it, weirdly enough, but I was also terrified of it. Maybe it was like a coping mechanism. I was trying to like desensitize myself to it. I remember going to bed one night, and it was in my bed, and I was said to him, like, how did it get there? And he was like, oh, I don't know. It's obviously crawled into your bed. So then I was thinking it was alive, and yeah, it was not good times. And I think he said that the real gremlin had put it in my bed as well, or something. Maybe I can't remember. I remember being absolutely terrified, and I was convinced that this little toy or a gremlin was going under my bed. So for a while, that stopped me going to bed. Alien stopped me going to bed once, like the like the greys with the big eyes. I'd watched a film with my brother that I probably shouldn't have watched, called Communion, and then that freaked me out. We used to watch UFO programs all the time and the X-Files and stuff when I got a bit older, but I was probably 8 or 9. We watched this film, and I was literally, every time like a light came on outside, I was convinced that it was a tractor beam and the aliens were coming for me. Yeah, I just didn't like sleep. One, because I hated it because it was like a waste of time, and two, because I was scared of having nightmares. And yeah, you're alone. Like, I was quite lucky when I was a kid because I had my own bedroom, and I had the biggest room, and I don't know how that came about actually. But when we moved house, when I was about 3 or 4, I actually had like the medium sized room. So my mum and dad had the biggest room. I had the medium one. My brother had like the box room, and me and my brother used to play in my room. That was kind of like the playroom as well as my room. And then I was always jealous of what he had. So I begged and begged and begged and begged my mum just to move room so I could have the small room. And she was like, "Are you sure? You've got the bigger room." But as a kid, you don't think logically. And I kind of like small spaces anyway. I like being cozy and having my stuff around me. If you could see this room, you would be like, "Oh, I can see that." So I like kind of to be enclosed. And I suppose it's kind of like a safety thing. You feel secure. So I quite enjoyed when I swapped rooms, to be honest. Until I got to a certain age when I was like, "Why did you make this stupid decision?" So as soon as he went to university, straight back in that room. I have no idea where this was going. Yeah, but we swapped rooms, but I never felt comfortable in that other room, to be honest. I never felt as safe in the other room. But he used to wind me up all the time about things being in my bed or aliens, and so that came from it. But yeah, I don't really like sleep now, if I'm honest with you. It's a thing. I am more tired now. I'm getting old, and you work and you have to do housework, and so you kind of do need sleep when you're an adult because of all the things you do during the day. And it's not just for physical activity, especially for me at the moment. Like, my work's not very physical; it's just mentally draining. Um, so yeah, you kind of do need sleep, and I do like going to bed now. I'm like, oh yes, I can go and get some sleep. But it's still in the back of my head that I do like to get the minimum amount possible. And I like to be out and doing stuff. Especially if I'm somewhere, like we went to London at the weekend. So if I'm away, my holidays I probably spend less time in bed on holidays than I do when I'm at home, probably. Because I'm away and I'm out of my normal environment and I want to do things. So at the weekend when we were away, I was up at like 7 o'clock most mornings. We did have some noisy neighbours in the other rooms. But I was up like at 7, and I would literally have just got up and gone out. But my mate and my wife basically slept till about 8:30. So I was like literally on my phone for an hour and a half, just scrolling, as you do nowadays. But if I'd have been on my own, I would have literally just I'd have woke up and been out the door and just wandered. It wouldn't have bothered me, and I'd have gone to bed as late as I possibly could. Because I still can get away with about 6 hours sleep and be okay. But when I was a kid, like, yes, going back to this fact, Jesus, you can tell I'm a bit tired because my brain's worse than usual. I'm sorry. Okay, cliff notes so far. I don't like sleep, even when I was a child. Could have been the fear of missing out. Could have been because I had nightmares. Could have been because I swapped rooms. Don't know. Yeah, but when I was a kid, literally, I used to have 3 or 4 hours a night. If I had any more than that, it was a real bonus for my mum and dad. And looking back, like, I don't think it was every night, but most nights it was a struggle for me to go to bed. And they had to really convince me to go to bed, to stay there at least anyway. And they used to just say, lie in bed awake, and they didn't mind me lying in bed as long as I wasn't, like, getting up and trying to come down. I think their view was, if I lay in bed, I would eventually go to sleep because, like, nature kicks in. It's nighttime. We're not night creatures, are we? We're not nocturnal, is the word I was looking for. So eventually, my natural brain would be like, "Oh, you're in bed, you're lying down, you're comfortable," and then I would just fall asleep. Didn't really happen for me. I used just to lie there and think about stuff. I'd lie there singing. just use my imagination, like making things up, talking to myself, talking to my teddies, doing like I used to sit on my bed, playing with my bears, and I had this dog toy. I'd lost quite a lot of dogs and bears, and I used to just like sit down and just chat to them, and then that would lead on to me trying to get other toys out, and then I'd normally get told off for that because I'm not the most quiet person. I get in my own head, and then I just don't really. I try to be as like accommodating as other people, but if I'm in the zone, I don't really know my own noise. The kitchen is probably the best example of that. If I can get something out of the kitchen, I can just slam cupboards and stuff. At other times, I'm super like aware of that, and I'll just be like close them the most gentle they can be closed. And I was like that as a kid, so I'd get told off. But I'd read a lot in bed, and that used to send me to sleep. Probably should try that now. But yeah, 3 or 4 hours used to do me, and but that meant that, as I've said, it was normally about midnight when I actually finally got to sleep, because that's normally when my parents would come to bed, like 11, 12 o'clock at night. So by the time I had actually drifted off, like get 3 or 4 hours sleep, I was awake at 4 in the morning. So I would either go and crawl into mum and dad's bed, and they'd let me at that point normally, like sleep with them a little bit. It was depending on my dad, really, I think, what he was working and whether he was on nights or not. And sometimes they wouldn't let me get into bed, but I was like a ninja. I could literally go into their room and creep into their bed and crawl up from the foot of the bed and crawl up underneath the covers and fall asleep. And sometimes I'd just fall asleep on the bottom of the bed like a dog. I always thought the dog was my spirit animal. Yeah, so I used to do that. But when I got a little bit older, because I used to wake up hungry, because I used to love breakfast, so I've always been the sort of person who wake up, eat, like. And when I was a toddler, I was skinny. I was super skinny. It was like the only meal I ate. So when mum and dad they got me a TV for my bedroom. And this was when I was in the bigger room. And they kind of agreed that, I could get up and they'd set some breakfast stuff out downstairs. So all I had to do was like put some milk on some cornflakes or whatever. I could bring it back upstairs and just watch TV for a couple of hours. And eat my breakfast. And that's what I used to do. So from probably like the age of 6, maybe, I used to prepare my own breakfast and a little drink and bring it upstairs and just sit in my room. And sometimes I'd fall back asleep again as well. So it was kind of a win-win for mum and dad. I'd fed myself and I was maybe possibly getting a little bit of extra sleep. And it was a win for me because I felt like I was older because I was getting my own breakfast and I wasn't having to lie in bed doing nothing. So I would get my toys out and play, as long as it was quiet stuff, like, again, no real sense of my own volume sometimes. But yeah, I that's what I used to do. And I used to hate falling asleep in the car as well. Oh my God. If I was going anywhere, traveling back in the car, like, if I was enjoying the journey, like, the thing as a kid, you don't always know when you're going to fall asleep as a kid. It's very, very bizarre. Like, as an adult, you purposely go to sleep, don't you? You, like, think, I'm going to have a nap, or I'm going to go to bed. Whereas a kid, you just fall asleep. And if we were coming back from it, this is normally where I would kind of get upset and get a bit narky, if I was aware. And sometimes I'd throw a paddy. But if we were going somewhere coming back and I fell asleep during the journey home and then woke up at home, oh my God, I hate it. Because that was definitely fear of missing out. It was like I'd missed the journey home. I like to see, just see the places we were going through and ask questions about stuff and see the motorway journey or see the countryside, etc. Even if it was dark, even if, it was pitch black, I used to like watching my dad drive, weirdly enough. I don't know why that was. Maybe I just aspired to drive one day. But yeah, I really hate that. And I remember my dad managed to carry me upstairs once and put me into bed. And then I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, oh my God, I'm in bed. How the hell did I get here? And I was really upset that I'd even missed like saying goodnight to my mum and dad. Basically, what I'm saying is I was a little shit, and I didn't like to sleep, and I was very needy. I think is the summary of this podcast, which makes me sad because I thought I was quite a sweet, non-pestering little lad. But I don't think that was the case. I think pretty much my mum and dad and my brother would actually completely disagree with that. So maybe I can't get away with saying that. Well, that was a random journey, wasn't it, of words. Thank you very much for listening. If you've got to this point, well done. If you're still awake, well done. Yeah, thanks for listening. I've been a bit rubbish with the whole social media and website and stuff at the moment. I'm trying to set some stuff up in the background. I'm really slow at doing stuff sometimes. I have to be in the right mindset, and I love doing this podcast. It's probably one of the things I've stuck at the longest for the longest time as well. So that goes to say something. So I really appreciate any regular listeners. If you are a regular listener and you like what I do, please reach out. There's something with this. I can't see anything. I don't know what people are thinking. I don't get a lot of feedback, apart from the downloads and stuff. So it would be nice just to know like what people are thinking about the podcast. So just reach out. You can contact me via the website if you're interested in being a guest. If you've got something interesting to say and you'd like to have a chat. Yeah. But until the next episode, which I generally don't know what it's going to be about. Yeah, just chatter away like I do. Just take the opportunity to listen as well. That is important. I need to learn that lesson. I go on a roll and I need to shut my mouth. As a wise man once said, you have one mouth and two ears for a reason. Wise words to live by. Okay, I'm going to shut up now because I'm annoying myself. Thank you very much for listening. Check out the website. Updates coming soon. Social media at StevenspeakPC. And if you would like to be super generous and subscribe and pay me a little bit of money to support what I do, I would be eternally grateful, and the link's in the description for that too. So take care of yourselves, and I will speak to you all soon. You've been listening to Steven Speak the Podcast. Thanks for listening to my unscripted prattle on everything and nothing. Visit stevenspeak.com for updates, information, and my blog. You can follow more updates on social media at StevenspeakPC. Thanks very much, and I'll speak to you soon.